Moscow, Russian election officials have barred the opposition leader Alexei Avila from running in next year's presidential election, a decision that prompted him to call for his supporters to boycott the election and take part in street protests. 12 members of the 13-member Central Election Commission voted to bar Avila from registering as a presidential candidate, citing his suspended prison sentence in a fraud case, a prosecution he has denounced as politically motivated. Russian election officials have barred the opposition leader Alexei Avila from running in next year's presidential election, prompting him to call for a boycott. A man is claiming he is the one who delivered a gift-wrapped package of horse manure to the home of U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin. Christians in the Iraqi town of Teleskov celebrated their Christmas traditions for the first time in 3 years, since Islamic State militants overran their town and forcibly displaced their community of 12,000. A U.S. Coast Guard helicopter lifted a man off a cargo ship in waters near Alaska after he began to suffer symptoms of appendicitis. A topless activist from the feminist group Femme tries to remove a statue of the baby Jesus from the nativity scene in St. Peter's Square, but is stopped by police. Meghan Markle and British royals greet well-wishers after Christmas church service at Sadrikam. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump addressed the American public in a Christmas greeting video. Russian election officials have barred the opposition leader Alexei Avila from running in next year's presidential election, prompting him to call for a boycott. One member abstained from voting because of a possible conflict of interest. The decision was not a surprise. Election officials had previously said in interviews that he would be ineligible to run. Avila, 41, was also prepared for it, recording his reaction in a video before it was officially announced. "We want to have an election because Vladimir Putin is horribly afraid. He sees a threat in competing with me," Avila said in the video. He gave an instruction to his servants from the Central Electoral Commission to reject my registration. In the video, Avila calls on his supporters to boycott the election, scheduled for March the 18th. He said 84 campaign offices he established across Russia would now be organizing an election boycott. He also announced a campaign to monitor the turnout and voting at polling places. Avila said the candidates who were officially registered to run were personally selected by Putin. He promised nationwide street protests against the election. Get the latest